Hello, good evening. My name is Richard. This is Over and Over and Over Again, and this is the Arsenal Women's Show, episode 7, I believe it is. We've got a lot to talk about tonight. Two big games Arsenal women have played over the last week or so. Two very good results as well. Fantastic performances to go along with those as well. A few more bits and pieces in the news as well. There's no game this week, of course. It is international break for the women, so there's no game to preview. We have not playing for a couple of weeks until the end of the month for the FA Cup semi-final, but we've still got loads of other stuff that's been going on in the world of Arsenal women, so we'll get into all that the other side of this. Hi, welcome to the Arsenal Women's Show on Friday. It's just gone up, so we're a little bit late starting. We've got a few technical issues with a couple of the guests at the minute, but I'm sure that will be sorted out. But we have got our usual panelist, Andreas, with us. How are you tonight, Andreas? You okay?
Yeah, good evening. I'm not too bad, thank you. Hope you're fine too.
No, great stuff. Obviously, just before we start, I just wanted to kind of talk to you about you did attend the Bayern Munich Champions League game, didn't you, the other night? What was that like? Just tell us about that.
Yeah, I was in the stadium in Munich yesterday. Bayern Munich won 4-0 against the Swedish champions, BK Häcken. It's formerly Gothenburg FC. And it was a very good performance by Bayern Munich. 4 goals, it could have been more. So, yeah. They had some pressure because the first match was only a 0-0 draw in Lisbon. So everybody expected them to win. It's not so easy, but was really good performance. And I'm convinced that Bayern Munich will make their way through the group stage and will qualify for the next round.
Yeah, it certainly. You would imagine that they will do, but you can never take anything for granted, can you? In the Champions League, you just never really know. But what was the crowd like at the game?
Can't compare this with the crowds in England. I think about 1,000. Last Saturday there was the top match, Bayern Munich versus Hoffenheim. I think we will talk about Hoffenheim later on. Was first against third in the table, and we had 1,250 spectators. And then when I saw on Sunday Chelsea versus Leicester, 2,700. It's really disappointing, but what this concerns in Germany, the interest for the women's football should grow. They are playing really good football, and Bayern Munich is for a few years now in the European top. They were in the semi-finals last year, 1,200, 1,000. They would deserve more. It was a really good match.
Yeah, no, it certainly sounded like a good match. I mean, do they play in their own stadium then, the Bayern Munich women, or do they play in the? I don't suppose they play in the big stadium, do they?
No, they have their own stadium, about 2,500 capacity only. It's a really fine, nice little stadium. It's perfect for the women's football, but there should be these 2,500. Yeah. They can't think about playing in the Allianz Arena where the men play with 75,000 capacity.
Yeah.
You wouldn't see or hear 1,000. It's really disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it will grow. I mean, you look at how the attendances in England have grown as well in recent years. So I think it probably will happen over time. And I think the more exposure that the women's game gets, obviously you've mentioned before, haven't you, how the English game is shown on television over in Germany as well. So hopefully the more exposure that the game gets, the more it will bring crowds in, because people will realise how entertaining the football is as well.
Yeah, the match versus Hoffenheim from the German Bundesliga last Saturday was shown on German free TV, and there were 1.5 million spectators. So this
Oh,
this
brilliant.
is a first step, but this is one match out of so many that is shown on free TV.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we over here in England, we've sort of got a new TV deal for the WSL this season, and we're getting games on the BBC as well as Sky. And I think so far it's actually been a real positive for the women's game because it's getting more exposure. I've noticed that the crowd seem to be very good as well inside the stadiums when the games have been played. So yeah, I do feel as though TV, although we've seen today that the fixtures have been some of the fixtures have been changed because of TV and stuff, and that was always a problem with the men's game as well, and I know it will be an issue, but I think overall the more exposure the women's game gets, the better it's going to be, and hopefully it will lead to bigger crowds. I mean, even the crowds in England could possibly be bigger, couldn't they? Really, I mean, even at Arsenal at Boreham Wood, the ground holds 4,500, isn't it? So we could potentially be getting another 1,000 in there every game, and the girls certainly deserve the bigger crowds, don't they? With the football that we're playing, certainly so far this season in particular.
Yeah, but the English women's football is at least one step beyond, one step ahead of the German, and yeah, it's yeah. As I said a few weeks ago, some of my friends are watching more and more WSL matches on TV as they have the chance for it, and they say, "Okay, then I'm watching the English football because I want to watch the women's football." So,
yeah, no, and
the situation is perfect. I can go in the stadium in Munich, and I can see all the matches from Arsenal on TV. I love this.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant, and it's been great here as well with the fact that the games are shown on telly now. There's a lot more coverage, which is great, and I think it's going to be. It might take a little bit of time, but I do think it is going to improve the crowds in the stadiums as well eventually. Actually, we've got Matt joining us. He was just saying he couldn't make it, and here he is. Look, there's Matt. Fantastic. How you doing,
Matt?
Right?
Yeah, I'm really sorry. I've been feeling a bit ill, so I didn't know whether or not I was going to make it tonight, but my voice is feeling fine, so hopefully everything's going to go all right.
No, we're good to everyone. I might have to change the thing so we can see you a bit better. That's better. Just make it a little bit. Oh, that's the wrong one. What are we doing? Oh, we put it on that one. That will do. No, it's great to see you anyway. I know Amar's coming as well, and hopefully we can get Samantha on as well. She was having a bit of problems with a link coming through. Amar said he's just running a little bit late. He will be with us very shortly. So what we'll do is, and obviously now we've got Matt here as well, we might as well make a start on actually going back to nearly a week now to what turned out to be in the end a very good victory in the WSL. So yeah, another difficult game actually, wasn't it? And again, we maybe started quite slowly. It seems to be a little bit of a theme recently, doesn't it? We may be slow getting into our stride, getting into our rhythm, and Everton were quite good in the first sort of half an hour or so of that game as well. But once we got going again, we were really impressive, and that turned out to be a really important and I thought a very impressive victory. What did you make of that, Andreas, in the Everton performance? Because it took us a while, didn't it? Everton played well at the beginning. They looked pretty dangerous, didn't they?
Yeah, it's exactly as you said. It seems as in the last matches we always need a while to come into the match to find our rhythm, and this was the same against Everton. So it was dangerous for about 30 minutes. I think they could have scored too, and I was not so convinced that we are going to win. But then with the first goal, it's like an opener for everything. The team feels better. The combinations are better, and okay. And then we saw fantastic goals. Katie again. She has self-confidence, unbelievable. And the third goal from Frida Manon was just another goal of the month.
I mean, we said, didn't we, that last week that Katie McCabe's goal against Aston Villa will be goal of the season, and then Frida pops up with one that could potentially be even better. I mean, that was a fantastic goal, wasn't it? And it put the seal on what was in the end, I say, an impressive victory. Amar's joined us as well. How you doing, Amar? Thanks for. I know you're a little bit late. Not to worry. Don't worry.
Well, you're on mute.
Oh yeah, you're on mute. Yeah, make sure you unmute yourself. You're still on mute. You're on mute.
No, now you're on.
Now he's on mute. What's going on? We couldn't hear him before. Oh, he seems to have a few technical issues going on. We can't hear you, MR, still. I'm not sure. I don't know whether your microphone's not plugged in or something's going on. But anyway, Matt, we'll come to you. What did you make of the Everton performance? It was a good victory in the end, even though I say it did take us a while to kind of click, didn't it, and get going?
Yeah, and it sometimes these teams are like Everton. They've been in the WSL for years, and they're going to test you. They know what they're doing. They don't want to get to Europe, so the Champions League is where they want to be. So hopefully it'll be interesting to see how they could do this season. At the moment, they've lost 4-0 to us, to Man City, and 3-0 to us. So it was a good experience for them. Again, just on their front, Sandy McIver, she was a good goalkeeper again. She's another one that's coming through at the moment. So I hope to see her soon in the England setup. But again, as Andreas has said about the Katie McCabe, and you as well, Richard, about that goal and Frida as well. They're going for the goal of the months and goal of the seasons. It's just every single time you see them go, it's I think apart from the Hoffenheim, we haven't seen a goal of the month contender in that one. But it's good to see that all the girls are scoring, even if Viv isn't scoring, which is important. If you can't rely on one player at this stage.
No, I mean, it's strange because, Viv hasn't been scoring as many goals in the last few weeks as she was at the start of the season. She seems to be playing a lot deeper as well. But she did obviously get a goal last night, which we'll come on to. But yeah, it's good that even when Viv's not scoring, other players are stepping up and getting the goals, and we're still scoring plenty of goals as a team, aren't we? Which is great to see. And as you said there, it looks like we're having our own goal of the season competition just on our own at the moment with the great goals that we've been scoring. We've got a comment in the chat there from Empress29 says, "Good evening, Richard and guests." No, thank you for tuning in. I hope you're enjoying the show. Emma, have you got your mic sorted out yet? No, we still can't hear you. So, but Emma's going to go and sort his mic out. I'm sure he'll be back in a minute. Obviously, he did do a great vlog actually for the Everton game last week. Some great footage there from the game, which was good as well. So, that went on the channel. So we will speak to Emma about that in a minute when he gets his microphone issue sorted out. These things can happen. We seem to have a few technical issues going on tonight with one thing and another. But anyway, we will get there, I'm sure. No, we still can't hear you. We still can't hear you. No, you still can't hear you.
If you go onto the camera or mic, you should be able to access it there. You should be able to sort out the audio and everything from there.
If your settings seem to be fine, maybe drop out. I'll bring you back in again and come back in. Sometimes that might sort it out. But anyway, we'll see. He seems to be having a few microphone issues at the minute. Hopefully it'll be sorted out. Obviously, it's not normally a problem. We can normally hear him fine, so I'm sure it will be sorted out very soon. There might just be some sort of setting issues that he's got. So if he drops out and comes back in, that might sort it out. But anyway, I mean, I thought overall it was an important victory as well, because that sort of games, aren't they, that can easily slip away from you, certainly in that opening 20 minutes or so when Everton were on top. And as you said, Andreas, they had a couple of chances, didn't they? And it was a little bit nervy. I was a bit nervous as well, thinking this game is getting away from us a little bit. But it just shows, doesn't it, the great spirit that they've got and the determination. And, they just kept going. And eventually the goals went in, and some great goals, as we said. I mean, I think that goal from Frida Manham, actually, that was such a good strike, wasn't it? The way it bent away from the keeper as well. I mean, that's got to be one of the best goals that we've seen at Boreham Wood.
Yeah, and I'm so happy for Frida, because I saw pictures from her after the match in Barcelona. She was in tears and embracing her mum, who was in the stadium in Barcelona. And this shows with how much heart she's playing. And to see her in tears was so sad moment. And then 3 days later, she scores such a goal, and I was so happy. And I think the fact that we have so many different goal scorers is something that Viv is also very much enjoying. I read she was nominated for the player.
Ballon d'Or,
Ballon d'Or, yes. And she said I'm not playing for personal awards. I'm playing to win with the team, titles and trophies with the team. That's what I'm aiming for. And this is typical for Viv. And now she has a team around her, and she sees everybody is able to score. The team is performing. One is fighting for the other. I'm sure she's really enjoying this time at the Arsenal more than the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, no, I agree. She certainly seems to be. Amar's back. Is his microphone working?
Yeah, I think I've tested now. It should be good now.
Yes, we can hear you.
Sorry about that.
No,
I don't
no
know what
worries.
the problem was.
No, it's great. It's great.
It's good.
Obviously, before we get your thoughts on the Everton games, really wanted to say thanks for the footage that you sent through from the ground.
It could have been better, but it was not bad for a first time effort, I don't think.
No, it was great, you know. And now obviously we've had your footage, which was brilliant. We had Matt's the week before at Aston Villa, which was great. And also obviously we had Harry before that against Man City. Yes. So I think it's added some great content and some great insight to the channel. So thank you very much for doing that. Really enjoyed that. Brilliant stuff. I mean, what did you make of the Everton performance, the Everton game in the end? It was a tough game for a long time, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was there. I mean, it was always difficult to break them down the way they set up. But I mean, once you got control, they never looked like getting back into the game. The only scare was when they put a cross in and Duggan narrowly failed to get onto the end of it. I think it was Christensen who put it into the box. Narrowly went wide of Zinsberger's goal. But after that, we controlled it and they never looked like scoring. And I mean, we just look so solid at the back going forward. And as you said, they seem to be having their own goal of the season competition every week, every game. So Katie's was the one I saw. I thought keeper has made a mistake there, but to be fair, she did catch her a bit cold. But there was nothing wrong with Frida. I think the whole crowd just erupted when I went in, and everyone was just so happy for Frida, because if anyone deserved that goal, it's her, because I think she's been outstanding.
No, she has. Yeah, she's been one of our best players this season. Imperative Views is in the chat. He says Frida and Katie came up with a banger. They certainly did, and they were both needed goals as well, because obviously Katie's goal, the first goal in that game, was really important, wasn't it? And I thought at first as well, like you, Emma, that maybe the goalkeeper could have done a bit better with it, but I do think it caught her out, didn't it? Because she hit it so early, and it was a great strike. And she had, I mean, the goalkeeper had no chance with Frida's goal. I mean, no goalie would have saved that. Right in the top corner. It was a brilliant strike that was. And I mean, it was
got a hand on it at one point from one of the camera angles. I don't know if she managed to or not.
I think she got a fist on it, and then the second goal, I don't know. The second goal was a bit odd because they were all jumping for the same ball and they collided with each other.
The two defenders sort of ran into each other, didn't they? And for that goal, and it wasn't the greatest header from Lotte either, was it? And the goalkeeper maybe could have done better with that one. But I mean, I think overall we definitely deserve to win.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, Imperative Views here in the chat says we didn't play great, but under Jonas, we have that clinical edge in front of goal. Yeah, we do, and we're quite relentless as well with our attacking play, as we'll come on to again for the last night's game. I mean, I thought some of our attacking play. I know we've got some great attacking players now in the squad. We can rotate as we did on Sunday, and we have done the last few games. We're rotating the players, and it's not really making us weaker, is it? And it's great to see. The options that we've got, even you look at the bench, and the quality that we've got on the bench is just must be the other teams must look at that and they must be, wow, you know, what can we do against this team? And let's just hope that we can keep clear of injuries. Nigel's in the chat again. He says Jordan Nobbs has been magnificent since returning from injury. She certainly has. She's a great passer with the ball and should be a starter in our strongest 11. Yeah, I mean, she's been starting the last few games. She has looked, she's getting stronger every game, isn't she, since the injury? That's good to see, because we've missed her, haven't we? She's not. And it's good that she's now. What have you been making of her, Andreas? Jordan Nobbs, since she's come back into the team, she's been doing well, hasn't she?
She's very important for us, but it's good that she can have a rest. And there was the discussion that Jordan should have been nominated for the Lionesses, but I must say I'm happy for her that she has now a few days of rest and doesn't have to play the international matches, because she just came back from injury, and now playing Champions League, playing the Women's Super League, playing national team. The danger of a new insurance of muscle problems would have been enormous, and so. Everybody knows that in her normal performance, she must be a member of the national team of the Lionesses. But for now, it's better as it is now. She was very good yesterday too, and we all know what you have on her. She's such an important part for our midfield, for passes, and she has the eye for the offense. Yeah, great player. Yes.
Yeah, no, she's a great player. It is great to see her back and great to see her in good form again as well after all her injury problems. I agree. Actually, it is probably better that she's not away with a national side, because it does give her a break and a recovery time to push on. Because the last thing we want is for her to pick up another injury now, having just got back in the team, and she's done so well. We have had a couple of with our sort of success, if you like, on the pitch over the last since the start of the season, really has been recognised by the WSL. It was good to see this happen this week as well. So player of the month and manager of the month for September, both won by Arsenal, and probably well deserved. I mean, we 100% record in the WSL, and I do believe that obviously Beth Mead got player of the month. I think that's fully deserved, because I think she's been brilliant, hasn't she, since the start of this season. And following the fact that she was left out over the summer and things like that, I think a few things, maybe she bounced back really strong, hasn't she? And obviously Jonas, his first month in the job really properly, and he's won manager of the month straight away. I mean, wow, what a fantastic start it's been for him. And again, I think that's fully deserved as well, with the performances that we've put in and how he's managed to keep everybody happy when he's got such a big squad and leaving players out at the starting line. It must be difficult. I mean, September was a good month. October started well, so we've got to be delighted. I mean, Matt, what have you made of those two awards? Fully deserved, aren't they?
Yeah, 100%. You got to think, when we started the season as well, with the pre-season friendlies against Chelsea and Tottenham, and then you had the Champions League qualifiers. So you had some sort of way of Jonas setting out the team, sort of saying, this is the identity, this is how we're going to play. It was brilliant. And he's just built from that. And when it got to that first game, everyone's sort of going, oh, it's a 50-50 game. You never know what Chelsea are going to do. You never know what Arsenal are going to do. It's going to either be one of those games where one team dominates, or it's going to be free scoring. Luckily, that game we won, and the next one was City, and we played them at the right time, really. They had an injury crisis, and we smashed them for 5.
Yeah.
So really, we haven't really had a proper test apart from Chelsea and Barcelona this season, if you think about it. But I would say this is still the honeymoon period. I'm expecting at some point, I think someone's pointed out January we've got City, United and Chelsea all within that month.
I did see that. That's a good point.
Yeah, no, it is. And, it's going to be, I mean, we've mentioned it a few times already this season, that it's a long season, a lot of games to play with all the competitions that we're in. And, even some of the more, I wouldn't call them easy games. I don't think any game's easy, but maybe on paper, the easier games, later on in the season, coming at difficult times could cause us problems as well. So, we've got off to a fantastic start, and that's all we could have hoped for, or more, really. Like you said, I mean, even though Man City had problems, to beat them 5-0 was a real statement, actually, even despite their injuries. You might have expected us to have won that game, but to win it in that manner, 5-0 was fantastic. I mean, Emma, what have you made of those awards? You think that they're well deserved for those two? Do you think that was the right results?
Yeah, I mean, I do believe I did actually vote for them, so I was pleased to see that turned into that ball fruit. And I think they did that. Especially Beth, she's deserved it. Not only has she been scoring great goals, she's been providing them as well, much like we used to seeing her. I mean, I think, where was it recently? So I don't want to be out of context, but I think I saw a stat on the women's football show recently that Arsenal has 4 of the top 7 assisters all time in the WSL. So I mean, it's great to see. And for Jonas to win that, for Jonas to win that as well. I mean, he was the only team, much like Mikel in September, with an 100% record. So no, that was thoroughly deserved too.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, to be fair, we could have had maybe 3 or 4 players that perhaps would have a chance in September for some of the performances. I mean, Viv as well scored a lot of goals in September. Frida, brilliant, and Kimberly, of course. But I think Beth was a great choice. I mean, Andreas, you must have been delighted for Beth in particular to have got that award.
Yeah, for both. It's well deserved. And I read a comment from a Chelsea fan. She wrote, even as a Chelsea fan, I must say it's well deserved. So this says everything about it. Jonas couldn't have a better start with his team, and what Beth was playing in the first matches. She once said she was angry not to be nominated for the Olympics. Yeah, and you could see this in the total will and power she brought in. Fantastic to see her playing this way. I think we all had our concerns when DVD left. How would this affect Beth and her performance? She's better than ever. So I think she will. This will be good for her self-confidence too. That she got this trophy from Player of the Month, not only of the week or of the match from Arsenal fans, but from the WSL Player of the Month. It's perfect.
Yeah. No, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, and like you said, I totally agree. Fully deserved as well. And she does seem to be. She maybe got a little bit of fire in her belly this season, having the disappointments that she suffered over the summer and stuff. So I think that's been good as well. Imperative Fuse there in the chat says Jill's been excellent, but in order to stay fit, we may have to drop Kim in a deeper position, which isn't worth it in my opinion. Frida and Kim are undroppable for me. They certainly have been so far, haven't they? I don't think you couldn't really want to leave either of those two out. And also, as well, he says, I'm starting to see a clear pattern in the string of games that we've played. The subs have been a game changer. They have actually. The substitutions in nearly every game. And Jonas has said, hasn't he, that it's not necessarily the starting 11, it's the finishing 11 that's just as important. And you can see how that's worked out in virtually every game. The substitutes have made a big impact every single week. And, that's great to see as well. And also, Imperative User says, we've got a semi against Brighton as well. Yeah, that's coming up soon. We'll face either Chelsea and City in the final, of course. Yes, we'll have to play them again. I'd love the FA Cup to be the first bit of silverware under Jonas. Yeah, of course. And I mean, that would be fantastic, wouldn't it? The first available trophy of the season, and he wins it. I know we won the first two rounds, under Joe at the end of last season, but ultimately, the sort of the end of the competition is going to be under Jonas, and it'd be fantastic if we can go on and win it. In the final, if we win it, exactly as meaning about playing City and Chelsea, which we know that. And Nigel says there, with our current squad, anything short of winning the league title will be a disappointment. No, I kind of agree. I don't want to say that, and I don't want to think that because it's a long season, and we know how strong Chelsea are, and they're going to be firing for revenge when we play them in the league at their place later in the season. So it's going to be tough, And yes, we have got a great squad. Would not winning the league title be a disappointment? I don't know. We'll see how the season pans out. I mean, I'm happy so far with how we're playing. And yeah, we all want to win some trophies. It'd be fantastic, wouldn't it? And at the moment, we probably look as though we deserve to win something with how we're playing. But it's only 7 games into the 7-8 games we played with the cup games as well. So very, very early days. Yeah, I think we need to just keep calm for now, and let's see how we're going later in the season when we've got a lot of big games. But yeah, I mean, we've got a great chance of winning the league. We're going to be there or thereabouts, aren't we? We're going to be challenging. Let's be clear, and hopefully, if things go well, you never know, we might end up winning it. But I don't want to be disappointed if we don't, with the way the season's going at the moment, because there's so many other possibilities as well, isn't there? With other competitions that we're in, the FA Cup, as we mentioned, the Champions League, which we'll come on to in a minute as well. And not, winning that would be tough, wouldn't it? But we'll see how that goes. But actually, that'd be a good time. Actually, why don't we actually have a look back on what was in the end a brilliant, fantastic performance and result in the end, wasn't it, last night? And as we saw there from the image, the game last night, Tobin Heath's first goal, which was a great moment, wasn't it? A great moment for her as well, to get her first goal finally. And there was a couple of times earlier in that game, Andreas, where she had opportunities to maybe shoot and she didn't. And she tried to pass the ball, and then obviously that one comes along and she does shoot and score. I mean, did you maybe think she could have perhaps had a couple of shots earlier in that game before she scored?
It's difficult. She's not the number 9 striker, so her task is she's very, very fast. She has a lot of speed, and then her crosses and passes are very important. So I don't expect too many goals from Tobin Heath, but it's good for her that she now scored. and it was a good moment in the match. Just in the stoppage time of the first half, the second goal, this was perfect. But as we said about the Everton game, we had a difficult start, and what would have happened if Nicole Billa scores the goal for half-time after 2 minutes? This was a really big chance, and I think in this special moment we were lucky. But and it took again 20 to 30 minutes until we were rolling in this match. So it was a difficult match, and I had warned before Hoffenheim, and now people may say, "Oh, 4-0, what did you want before this team?" No, I think Hoffenheim was a really tough opponent, and the start was not so good, and fortunately we had this penalty, and we have Kim. She never makes a mistake from so yeah. It was a really good performance. Our game developed. We had a lot of chances, and we could react from the bench again. This is fantastic. So all in all, can only be satisfied.
No, exactly. I totally agree. I think Hoffenheim were a good side actually, and the game certainly wasn't as easy as the 4-0 scoreline at the end suggested it was. We got goals at good times, didn't we? We scored at good times at all of the goals really. Certainly the second one just before half time, that was crucial, that, because I think at 1-0 at half time the second half could have been really difficult, but to get that second goal, I think it settled us down. It made it much more difficult for Hoffenheim, and then of course getting a third goal straight after the second half as well finished it off. But yeah, I think that was the key really. We scored at the right times in that game, and sometimes that can be the difference. And I don't think it was a 4-0, if I'm honest, over the 90 minutes. We probably 4-0 maybe flattered us a little bit if over the course of the game we finished really strongly. But yeah, I mean, Matt, why do you think we're starting games so slowly? Because it seems to be a theme, doesn't it? Actually, going back pretty much since the start of the season. Actually, there's not been many games where we've started strongly. We seem to take time to get going, don't we?
Yeah, I think it's just the way we build into these games. So maybe it's just Jonas is telling them for the first 10 minutes just to make sure everyone gets a touch on the ball, make sure they feel comfortable, and then just build on it from there. Whereas instead of going, right, okay, I need you to attack from the first minute till the 90th minute, which we're never going to do, because in 90 minutes of football, you're never going to have the ball 100% of the time. But the game against Hoffenheim, I think the real thing was it was experience versus youth. If you think about it, we had players who were in their 30s all the way down to Lotta, who's just turned 20, I think. Is that right? Someone's going to correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah. She's around that age. Yeah. I think she's 20.
So it is a bit of a balanced squad. Whereas was Hoffenheim, I think they had a lot of their average age was around 22, 23, something like that. Is that right, Andreas?
Yeah, a very young team. Yes.
Yeah, young team.
That's one thing the commentators kept on saying is that this Hoffenheim team is quite young. So it is a good way to show how good our team is compared to their inexperience. We have experience in, you could say, all of these positions in the Champions League. So we were able to balance it. But it was interesting if we can get that first goal in the first 10 minutes to see maybe what would happen. I think maybe versus Kogan, we might go more at it than they were. But it'll be an interesting game for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, we don't really know too much about them. I mean, Hoffenheim beat them quite comfortably at home, but they did give Barcelona a few issues, didn't they, as well? So I know that's on their plastic pitch, which maybe even that out slightly. We'll see. Obviously, we've got 2 games against that Koga team to come, haven't we? Andy's in the chat there. He says, in my opinion, Hoffenheim certainly was a real test that we passed very well. Very important result. It was a very important result, and the way that we did it as well was impressive, I thought, in the end. After a slow start, as we've said. And Imperative Views there says the match against Barca is going to be hosted at the Emirates. We're going to come on to that a bit later. I've heard people say the bigger pitch will work to our detriment. What's your opinion? Yeah, we're going to talk about that a little bit later on in the show, actually. So stay tuned, because that is one of the sections that we're doing a little bit later as well. So, but yeah, we will talk about that. I kind of, we will get into that. But yeah, that's an interesting point, isn't it, about the bigger pitch? Might not necessarily be the best thing for us, but we'll see. I mean, Emma, what did you make of the game last night? And obviously, in the end, it was a really important result and an impressive result, but it was a tough game, wasn't it? Again, like the Everton game, quite similar to Everton, wasn't it? They started well, Hoffenheim, and we grew into it.
Yeah, I honestly think it's just getting a measure of what the opposition are like. As you said, they could have taken a lead in the first few minutes, but after that, we slowly started to take control. Yes, it was slightly laboured going forward and lacking a bit in the final pass, but once they got going, they really started to control the game. I mean, you can't always start slowly, like say against let's say not won't say better teams, but against more quality opposition players, teams like Chelsea, for example. So yeah, I mean, it would be nice if they could get on the front foot from the off. But I mean, if it's okay the way it is, it's just maybe starting games a bit quicker and just gaining a measure of what the opposition's like.
Yeah, I think maybe part of it could be that Jonas maybe doesn't know all the opposition properly yet, does he? Because he's not played the teams enough, and maybe he's trying to suss them out as well at the beginning of the games, maybe a little bit, and then we can then. He did do a lot of coaching last night, didn't he? When there was a break in play, he was talking to the players and maybe making a few adjustments as well, which I like to see that because it shows that he's thinking on his feet and he understands what's going wrong. And that was great to see, actually. So he tends to do that quite a lot, and I think maybe he's still learning about the league. So hopefully, what will happen is he'll start to know the teams a bit better, and when we play him a second time round, hopefully we'll be more ready to go straight at it rather than have to grow into it a little bit, because it's a bit nervy sometimes, you know, when we're under a bit of pressure. And as Andres rightly says, that early chance there for Bia last night could have made it a different game if she'd scored that. So we'll need to be careful. And I agree with you, Amar, that against the stronger teams, it's important that we do start quickly, because if you go a goal behind against Chelsea in the first 10 minutes, you're going to struggle to get anything out of the game, aren't you? So we managed to start well against them earlier in the season, which was good. Imperative Views again says that the match against Barca is going to be... Oh, no, we said that one, didn't we? Sorry. Nigel's comment there. Between last night's performance against Hoffenheim and the defeat against Barca, I'm finding it difficult to gauge where we stand among Europe's elite. That's quite a good point, actually, because obviously Barcelona were much, much better than us. And, you know, Hoffenheim were probably equal to us in certain aspects of that game. But in the end, we were too strong for them. I mean, what are your thoughts on that, Andreas? Where do you think we do stand at the moment? Or is it too early to judge in terms of where we are in Europe's elite? Because we've only really played Barcelona out of the top teams, haven't we?
It's too early to say this. But we played Barcelona, and we all said they are playing from another planet. But we played Chelsea. Chelsea is one of the top teams in Europe, and we played Hoffenheim. And you can compare Hoffenheim, or you can see Hoffenheim is third in the German Bundesliga. There is Wolfsburg and Bayern above them. So yeah, maybe this is the place where we can fit in with Arsenal. So the likes of Wolfsburg and Bayern, but I must say, I saw the match Chelsea-Leicester on TV, and they had the same problem. It lasted 83 minutes until they scored. So Chelsea, compared the squad from Chelsea with Leicester, they are much, much better. But it was difficult to score. They had more ball possession, everything. But in this match, also the bench, or what Emma Hayes could bring from the bench, changed the match. It's the same situation as we have. So it's difficult to say where we stand in Europe, but I think it could be the same step like Chelsea, Wolfsburg, Bayern, but Barcelona is ahead. Maybe Lyon. I haven't seen them. They are the next opponent from Bayern Munich, so I will see Lyon, and then I can say something about them.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a little bit early at the moment because we've not played enough games yet in the Champions League. And yeah, I agree. Chelsea are one of the top teams in Europe, and we have beaten them this season. So, and we've lost to Barcelona, we've beaten Hoffenheim. So overall, we're probably doing okay. But yeah, I mean, what do you think about that, Matt? Where do you think we might stand overall? I mean, we'll probably find out more, won't we, as the Champions League gets further into it. If we can get out of the group and get into knockouts, then we're going to come up against some of the really elite teams. Then we'll really see, won't we, exactly where we are.
Yeah, just to divulge from that just for a sec, because Chelsea have been gotten out of holes for just by Harder alone this season. So they're just looking for that one person. That's three times in 3 games that she's scored vital goals for them. So there's got to be some way to stop her. But when we come to these elite teams, it's similar to us. If I think everyone in Europe knows if Viv doesn't score a goal, someone else will score a goal, which is where the team dynamics comes in. And I think it is quite hard to show how far up and how far below we are between the elite teams. You've got Lyon, who've got brilliant teams. You've got Wolfsburg, again, they've got a brilliant team. Even PSG. It's just hard to call. But when we looked into that Champions League draw, you couldn't say for definite whether or not we were going to make it out. But it was going to come down to maybe this game against Hoffenheim. But Andreas, you said never write them off, and they gave us a good game. It'll be nice just to see how we go on if we do get to knockout. See who we get. If it's a PSG or a Wolfsburg or a Lyon, I think a lot more attention will be on that game.
Yeah. No, definitely. Yeah, I mean, that's what I say. I think as the competition goes on, we'll get a lot more of an idea exactly where we are. Imperative Views there has said that Lyon are great, but the team that I believe can compete with Barca is PSG. Yeah, PSG is another good team, and we'll see how the knockouts, where the knockout brings us. I'm sure Andreas will be hoping we draw against Bayern Munich. Actually, that would be nice. Whether or not that would be a good draw for us as a club to get through, we'll have to wait and see. But certainly for Andreas, it'd be a good draw, wouldn't it? I mean, what? No, exactly. You'll have to get us some tickets, and we'll have to go and enjoy it with you.
A little road trip.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll have to do that, definitely. But we'll see. We need to get in the group first. We're certainly not guaranteed of doing that yet, are we? I know we're all a bit excited after last night. I mean, Emma, where do you think we are in Europe in overall? Or are you going to maybe hang judgment until maybe if we get through the group stage and where we go after that?
If I'm being honest, I mean, it's our first season back in Europe since, a few things. It's only the second time in the last 3 seasons we've actually made it, where before that, I think when we called, what was it, 2019-20? I think that was our first season in Europe for like 6 seasons.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, when you see, it's hard, it's a bit unfair, I would say, to compare us to the likes of Wolfsburg and Lyon and Bayern Munich and teams that have been at that top, and Barcelona, teams that have been consistently qualifying for the Europe's elite competition for season on season. So, I mean, this is a start of where we can, of what Jonas wants to achieve and where we are in terms of stature compared to other teams. So, I wouldn't. It's a bit to reach their level. I think we are capable of it, but we're still at this very early stage. So, I'd say we can get to their level, but it's still too early to tell.
I think it is at the moment, yeah, and I'm confident that we can compete. I mean, whether that means actually beating these teams and going on and doing well in the competition, or whether or not we just come a little bit short against some of these better teams, we'll have to see. But in a way, it's good. It's good that we've got time because as I said before, I still think Jonas is learning. He's learning about our players. He's learning about the WSL, and he's going to learn a bit more about the Champions League as well, isn't he? And we've got a good opportunity in the group, because it's a challenging group, but it's a group that we've got the capabilities of getting out of, and I think we've shown that now after last night. And I say if we do get the 6 points in the next 2 games against the Danish team, then that's going to put us in a fantastic position, isn't it? 9 points, before we play Barcelona for the second time. So I mean it's working out quite well so far, but it is a little bit early maybe to see exactly where we are. Imperative Views there says I'm glad that Viv got a goal last night. She had at least 2 clear-cut chances, but decided to assist it instead. Yeah, she did. Is it because she was going through a goal drought, or that was only 3 games? Yeah, I was thinking that actually. She maybe didn't look quite as confident to take the shots on, did she? A couple of occasions she could have shot and she passed, and maybe the opportunity went. And it was good that she got maybe a slightly scrappy goal in a set. I mean, it was a good shot from Jordan Nobbs initially, a good save actually, but they're the sort of goal sometimes when you haven't scored for a while. You bundle one in from a yard out, and it can make a big difference. Let's hope it gives her a bit more confidence in the games going forward. Because she maybe, I wouldn't say she's lacking confidence necessarily, but she did seem more keen to pass, didn't she, last night? Actually,
unselfish.
Yeah, then take a shot on, which it's nice to get assists as well. But she is still the main goal scorer. She is like one of the top goal scorers in the league still. So. Did you find it a little bit strange that maybe she seemed a little bit reluctant to shoot a few times last night, certainly in the first half?
Yeah, but her playing style is always she wants to score goals, but she also wants to assist. So I don't see any problem. And the goal she made, you must be there at this moment, at this very moment, because the goalkeeper did a very good save. And if you're not there, you can't make this goal. So I don't see any problem, but if she still has the nose for situations. And as I said, I think she enjoys that there are others who take the burden of scoring. It's not only her. It's not, I must score. If I don't score, we will play 0-0. No, she knows that the others are a threat for the opponents too. And I think she enjoys assisting others. So far,
she seems to, and maybe she's going to add a little bit more of that to her game. I got the feeling last night a little bit. She seemed almost desperate to set Tobin Heath up for a goal, didn't she? A couple of times, and in the end, of course, it was her header that set up the goal for her. And it seems as though she was so desperate for her to get off the mark, which was good to see, because that's good kind of teamwork as well, isn't it? But not at the expense of us getting goals, which maybe a couple of times I felt an opportunity could have been there for her to score, and she passed and we didn't score, and a little bit frustrated I found it, but ultimately it worked out because it was a great assist for Tobin's goal, and of course she did get one herself, which was great to see. I mean, that kind of leads me on a little bit to the next little segment I wanted to do. Just briefly wanted to talk about this. Been hearing some rumours that maybe the contract may be getting sorted out at this moment in time. What are we thinking about that, Matt? Do you think that one, is she going to sign it, and two, has that already maybe in the process, do you think?
I think it's quite a hard one to tell. Usually when you're at a club, if you're liking what you're doing, you want to stay, you'd pretty much be putting in that pen to paper and it'd be a done deal. With her being 25, she's now looking towards her twilight of the year. She's going to be in her top form, her best form, you could probably say. Would she be willing to go on and look into other clubs? Perhaps. I don't know if I think there'll probably be a lot of teams willing to try and put in that offer for her. I hope that she stays, but I think we've had this conversation before as well. But if she can, if we do get her to stay, I think we'll be happy. If we do let her go, or she decides to leave for whatever reason, then I think it's just a thank you and goodbye. But send her off with as much as we can, if it means getting try and get going as far in Europe as possible. If it means probably not going for the, maybe even if we're off the title by a point or something like that, it's progress, and maybe that might also make her want to stay. Her decision at the end of it. It's not really ours to say we want you to stay. We can say we want you to stay, but from Arsenal players in the past, we've said that we wanted you to stay, and they've left for other reasons. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one. I mean, something that I've noticed, I don't know what you guys have thought. Obviously, with the strength in depth that we've got, Viv seems to be substituted off quite a lot recently. And not that she seems particularly upset about it, but I mean, Andreas, do you think that may influence the fact that, we've got such a strong squad now? She's not guaranteed to play every single game. And, I say she's getting subbed off quite a lot. She's not getting a full game. Do you think that might influence, or do you think maybe she kind of likes the fact that we have got a strong squad and it means we're more competitive?
It's difficult to say, because she's not used to being substituted or not in the starting 11. But she's a team player, and all she wants is to win trophies with the team. And as long as she sees the chance to compete with Arsenal for titles, for the European title, there is a chance that she might stay. And I don't think that will be a question of money.
No.
It will be just the question: how competitive is the team she's playing in? How comfortable does she feel in the team? She has Amana as one of her best friends in the team. This was a good step, and it will depend on Lisa Evans' future, I think. So there are more things that will be important for her, and it's too early to say something. What I read last week was she changed her profiles in social media, so Facebook and Instagram, with new photos with Arsenal kit on. This might be a good sign, at least a sign that she feels comfortable at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait and see.
Everybody at Arsenal wants her to stay.
Well, yeah, I mean, everybody at Arsenal wants her to stay, I'm sure, because of what a great player she is. But yeah, I mean, I agree. She isn't used to being substituted off in games as much. She isn't used to not starting as many games. I mean, she does start most games still. There's been the odd one or two. But I mean, what do you think, Emma? Do you think that she's going to be happy with the squad's more competitive this season, or do you think deep down she's going to want to be playing, obviously, all the minutes? Because everyone does, don't they? And everyone wants to play, don't they, at the end of the day?
I think, as I've said on this program in the past, it's a good headache for Jonas to have. I mean, obviously, everyone would love to play the full game each time, but when you've got such a good, tremendous strength and depth, I mean, you also want to protect your players for the games that come so thick and fast each time. So, I mean, he's just managing, as I said, that's a key part, managing the players' workload and also protecting them and make sure, of course, they don't suffer any serious injuries, as we've seen so often in the past. I mean, as Andreas rightly said, I think it's right. It depends on the club's drive and ambition, and let's see where they are in terms of winning trophies. But as I said, I don't think it comes down to money. It's just about whether she sees her future at Arsenal in the end. In the end, I guess.
Yeah, and I think I agree. If we are competing for all the big trophies, then that's going to be the biggest influence in her decision, isn't it? Rather than, like I said, I don't think it'll be about money at all. And yeah, I agree with what Andrea said about Lisa as well. I think if Lisa stays in London, or certainly stays in England, then there's a very good chance that Viv will more likely to stay than if Lisa gets moved on and maybe goes abroad or somewhere. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of other aspects involved. But yeah, I mean, at the moment, I'm starting to feel a lot more confident that she may well sign a contract than maybe I was before, because I think she can see, as we can all see, the evolution of this team and how it's progressing very quickly under this new manager, and the strength of the squad as well. Imperative views there, going back to sort of what we were talking about Chelsea before, it says that Emma has been traumatised by the Champions League final. She's been trying to implement a back three system after seeing how easily Barca trespassed their defence. That has taken a bit out of their attacking prowess. Yeah, you may be right there, actually. And also as well, the back three has been a hindrance to their attacking output. That's the reason why Emma switched to back four against Leicester after 50 or 60 minutes. Yeah, well, it wasn't working, was it? They wasn't scoring, and ultimately games, you can stop the goals going in, but ultimately you've got to score goals to win games. And she made that change and it worked. It's actually interesting. You go back to the manager of the month thing, that Jonas has already got 2 over Emma already, hasn't he? He beat her, and then he's also got manager of the month as well in his first month. So that's good to see. Hopefully that will continue, because she won't like that, Emma, will she? She'll be a bit put out that this new guy on the block's coming and taking the manager of the month straight away. So she'll definitely want to come back stronger after that, I'm sure. Nigel says there, I hope the Arsenal hierarchy can see the value in retaining our best talent and building up our women's side. Yeah, they seem to be at the moment. Viv could go down as an icon of the club alongside the likes of Henri and Bergkamp. Well, she's kind of heading that direction anyway. She's certainly up there with Henri and Bergkamp in the women's game for Arsenal. But yeah, overall, I think if she does sign a new contract and stays and helps us win a lot more trophies and scores a lot more goals, I mean, she's already over the 100. So can she? If she signed a new contract, potentially she could catch up with Thierry Henry's overall record, 228 he's got. So who knows? But yeah, I mean, that would be great, wouldn't it, if she does stay? What I did want to go back to the point that Imperative Views made actually a bit earlier. I wanted to talk about anyway. That was the fact that the Barcelona game now, as it was announced today, is going to be played at the Emirates, which I know a few people were looking at wanting that game to be played there. But the point that Imperative Views made, and I'd made it before when we talked about it, about the size of the pitch at the Emirates maybe favouring Barcelona, whereas the smaller ground at the... I mean, you saw last night they'd moved the lines in, hadn't they, at Boreham Wood, which I understand was a UEFA regulation in terms of how far from the pitch the fans can be. So it may have been a big advantage to play on that smaller pitch at Boreham Wood, as opposed, although obviously a bigger crowd can come in at the Emirates, and I'm sure we'll get a really good crowd. I mean, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because maybe playing at Boreham Wood would give us more chance of getting a result, whereas playing at the Emirates is going to generate more money through the gate, isn't it? So it's a tough balance in that, really. I mean, what do you think of it, Andreas? Do you think it's a good decision to play at the Emirates overall?
We'll know after the match.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, that's
it's always difficult to say you're losing the advantages of a home match in they are at home at Boreham Wood, yeah. But the chance that there are maybe 10, 50,000 big crowd cheering them up, maybe this can help too. And besides this, I must say the girls deserve to play in the big stadium.
yeah, oh, they do.
Yeah, I think in their minds, that's also something like respect, or how can you call this? What they will feel. Be able to play in the big stadium, so we are respected. We are the Arsenal. We are playing in our stadium, so this means a lot, I think, for the girls. And hopefully this match won't decide whether we qualify for the quarterfinals. I hope we win against Kogi 2 times. I hope so, and then taking 1 point against Barcelona would be a bonus point.
Yeah, so, no, I agree. I think it would, and yeah, potentially in terms of on the pitch, I think maybe playing at the Emirates maybe does favour Barcelona slightly more with the extra space, possibly. But I agree, we're not going to know until after the game, are we? We're up to know that for certain. But certainly in terms of, I totally agree. I think the girls deserve to play more games at the Emirates Stadium this season. They deserve to play in front of a bigger crowd. You saw against Chelsea, it was nearly 9,000, wasn't there, for the Chelsea game? And you can see Barcelona being even more than that, because it's not very often that you get the opportunity to see a team like that play in our stadium. So that I think potentially, certainly from that side of it, it's probably a positive. I'm just not too sure about on the pitch. I mean, Imperative Views there said Viv has always mentioned how much she would love to play, how much she loved playing at the Emirates. Hosting a number of games at the Emirates will be a factor to lure her. Yeah, possibly it will. So you know, there's that aspect as well. But I think all the girls deserve to be playing at the Emirates a lot more regularly, and hopefully as the season goes on, we'll see a lot more games there. You know, they've already got this one. We had the Chelsea game there, so it's starting to happen, isn't it? And I say, if we could get 10, 15,000, that would be amazing, wouldn't it?
Yes.
For that game, it would be just fantastic if that could happen.
Yes.
I mean, what are you thinking then, Matt, about the game at the Emirates? I know you was kind of in favour of it, wasn't you? Do you still think it's a good idea in terms of the bigger pitch aspect, or do you think that we should just take the money and get more people in and let them play at the great stadium?
Well, this is the one thing I've actually predicted that I actually got right on this channel, which is a first. And to be honest, I'm really, really sorry that I got it right, because I think we did have a bit of an advantage at Boreham Wood from the size of the pitch at Barcelona. It was quite a big pitch, so you can see how well they do. Imagine what they can do on a full-size Premier League pitch. It's going to be a bit of damage, really, as well. But then again, because we've had pre-season at the Emirates, and we've also had the game against Chelsea, that gives us a bit more of an advantage over them. Maybe I think during the week, Jonas might even ask the training ground staff if they can train on that pitch to make sure they're more prepared, more ready, make sure that the grass is cut to his liking, not Barcelona's, because knowing Barcelona, they like that, the slick passing. Maybe
grow it a bit longer, a
little bit longer, not much, and sort of stop their play a little bit. It's just to disrupt them, but it'll be big. It's a huge game if you think about it. I think that the attractiveness of it would be to bring in more fans. I had to look at it, and because it's an 8 o'clock kickoff, there's no guarantees that I'll be able to get home, so I wouldn't be able to. But more people that are local would be able to walk through the door. I mean, £12 a ticket.
True.
Seeing an Arsenal play in Europe is something not really heard of this season for the men's team, so why not go and support the women?
To be honest, it would be good if some fans who maybe generally follow the men's team, you know, because that game's at the Emirates, it's against Barcelona, might think, you know what, let's come along, it'd be cheaper tickets as well. And it might lead to a new some new fans coming in and enjoying it and wanting to come and watch the women play again afterwards. So it's definitely got a lot of advantages in terms of the long term maybe aim of getting women's football in front of bigger audiences and getting them to play in the stadium more. And I do think that overall it's probably a good thing. I just feel for this particular game on its own, having the smaller pitch may have been giving us more chance to get a result. As we saw last night when Barcelona were away in Denmark on a plastic pitch, the conditions didn't really suit them and they struggled a lot of that game. And in the end, they did win, but they struggled to get a win. And, obviously, you'd imagine we're better than that Danish team. And if we played on our stadium, you could be confident that we could get more confident we could get a result. I mean, what do you think of that aim? I know, obviously, you probably won't be able to get to the game either, which is a shame. I mean, do you think it's probably the right decision to play this particular game there, or should we maybe play other games there instead?
Yeah, I mean, it is two of Europe's arguably. We've got the defending champions and the defending European champions and Arsenal, who have such a rich history of being obviously the most successful women's team in England. And yeah, I suppose, I don't know, some people say it could be detrimental, some people say it could work to our advantage. But yeah, I mean, it reminds me of when their men's team, they used to just, everyone used to think the new camp pitch they used to just make it look like a postage stamp. So I don't know, maybe we could do something similar. And yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I don't know if I'm going to make it or not, but otherwise, we will win. We'll just watch it on TV and see what happens. So, I mean, let's see what as the guys have been saying, to get people who don't normally watch the women's game there, and trying to just get as many fans as you can in could certainly be of benefit to the team. So, I mean, let's see what happens.
Yeah, I think the long-term benefits of playing it there is probably outweighs the maybe short-term benefits of the result in that particular game, particularly if we win our next two in the group against the Danish team, and then we're going to be in a very strong position to go through, even if Barcelona do happen to beat us. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how that works out. I mean, Nigel said they're a packed house for this game will be a fantastic visual for the women's game at large. Yeah, it will, and I think for the future of the women's game and the future of Arsenal women, it is definitely a positive. I just feel as though it's maybe going to make it more difficult for us to win the game, but ultimately that's the way it is. And Imperative Views there says Juve hosted their match against Chelsea at the Allianz Stadium. They had 19,000. Did they really? Wow! I mean, that's a massive attendance, that isn't it? And the potential there at the Emirates. I mean, I don't know whether we could attract 19,000 for the Barcelona game. Possibly. Who knows? I mean, we could be, obviously we'll be second in the group hopefully by the time we play them, and it'll be a really big game. So it'll be amazing, wouldn't it, to get a 19,000 crowd there for that game. I'm not sure we're quite ready for that sort of size. I mean, they struggled, didn't they, in the Chelsea game when it was only 9,000? They almost caught out by a number of people that were there. They couldn't deal with it, could they? The people getting in and this and the other. So they need to work on that a little bit as well in the meantime before that Barcelona game, and make sure they've got.
That's why they've decided to announce it now and not in the next couple of weeks. Try to get the numbers there.
Yeah, possibly give everyone a chance to work on the old logistics of it all, which they didn't get very very well for the Chelsea game. So let's hope that maybe they've got a bit more time and they can organise it a little bit better, because I know the Chelsea game didn't work out in too great in the end, did it? With all that kind of side of it as well. Imperative Views there says they made 8 changes as well. Obviously going back to the would that be the Barcelona game, won't it, as well, as a competitive match against Atletico Madrid? Yeah, they made a lot of changes for that game. They did, and it obviously almost cost them. It would have been good for us if Kogo had held on for a draw, wouldn't it? That would have helped us out a little bit. But I'm sure they won't rest 8 players when they play us. I'm sure of that. No. Definite. And Imperative View just says Vino mentioned that a group stage game will be hosted at the Emirates. Yeah, he did actually. Hosting a game wouldn't affect as many fans as a Barca game. Yeah, that's true, I suppose. I'm in favour of hosting the Barca game at the Emirates. Yeah, maybe they could have had last night's one there, possibly.
They've got Real Madrid. Sorry, Richard, I was just looking at their fixtures, and they actually have Real Madrid on the 12th, 3 days later.
Wow.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. The game before that is Atletico Bilbao.
But then bear in mind as well, we play Barcelona, is it 3 days after the FA Cup final, if we're in it?
Oh, yeah, that's a good shout as well, isn't it? Yeah.
So if we're in the cup final, we've got the cup final on the Saturday or the Sunday. I can't remember which day.
I think it's the 5th of December. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and then obviously Barcelona on the Thursday, so that's going to be a tricky one for us as well. So yeah, but they've got a game the following week. We've got a big game potentially the week before. So it's I mean, it's exciting, isn't it? It's exciting times, and
it is, yeah.
I suppose maybe that's true, isn't it? You couldn't really, it wouldn't be worth putting a Koga game at the Emirates because it wouldn't be the interest in it.
No.
Last night's game potentially could have been, but I suppose with the men playing on Monday, maybe they didn't want to use the stadium that close. I'm not sure, but yeah, obviously the Barcelona's the most attractive game out of the three, isn't it? So you'd imagine that would have always got the nod. And let's hope that either way, whether we win, lose, or draw that game, it won't affect us getting through or not. I do think that the next two games, and obviously the Hoffenheim game away, which is the last game, is it? The Hoffenheim game away?
No, it's Barcelona's the last one because it.
No.
Yeah, is it
not Hoffenheim? Is Hoffenheim the last game? Hoffenheim away.
It's Barcelona. Hoffenheim.
Hoffenheim would be. Yeah, I thought normally it goes. You play first and then 5th and then 2nd and then 6th. I thought that's how it worked.
We play on the 15th December at Hoffenheim.
Yes, it is.
That's the last one, isn't it?
Yes, that's right.
I've already fixed it in my calendar. I'm sure.
Yeah, no, I thought Hoffenheim was the last game because that's gonna. I was thinking all the time that was going to be the game that might decide who goes through. But of course, after we won 4-0 last night, the potential is that we could potentially suffer a narrow defeat there, depending on how we get on against Koga, how many goals we score, and
that's not a bad
how they do against Barcelona. So potentially we could even get through with a very narrow defeat away in Hoffenheim, possibly. We don't want to think about that. We want to beat them, but just as a backup plan, just in case. It's potentially, but we'll obviously the next two games are going to be crucial, aren't they, to see how Hoffenheim do against Barcelona as well, because they, I'm sure they'll give them a game because they are a decent team, and it could be certainly over there. I think it'll be difficult for them, as it will be difficult for us as well in that last game. But we have got the advantage now. Which is good. Nigel says there, I'll take another loss against Barca if it means we win a 15th FA Cup for the women and 29th table for the club. Well, yeah, if it still means we go through, I mean, if it still means we go through to the knockout stage, then I think we could maybe take a loss against Barcelona. But if we had to get a result to enable us to go through, then I think that we'd have to think, would that be a price worth paying? Obviously, we want to win the FA Cup. But let's remember, Nigel, we have got another chance this season to the FA Cup as well, starting after Christmas, haven't we, as well? So we could potentially win it anyway this season if we don't happen to win this one. But we want to win this one because it's the first one, and it would be great, wouldn't it? So Imperative Views there says, I've got to get this in. Vicky Alasada in the mud. He's watching Barcelona and us play in the Champions League. Yeah, that's a shame, isn't it? But yeah, that is a shame. Never mind. I'm sure she'll enjoy watching us win a few trophies this season. Obviously, unfortunately, there's not any games this weekend, as we know, because it's in international break. Obviously, we've got a few in the England Lionesses squad, haven't we? A few players, not Jordan Nobbs as we mentioned, but we have got some others in there, haven't we? Ruben White, and the player I really wanted to mention before we finish, Leah Williamson. What a fantastic game she had last night. Obviously, a great goal, but also how well she's been playing this season. I mean, Andreas, you must be impressed with Leah Williamson's performances this season.
Yeah. She developed. She made one more step ahead, and she's now really a leader in the team. And I think she's 24, 25. Well, fantastic development, and in our defense, she's the boss. And in the national team, she played in defensive midfield. So fantastic season so far from her. I think in Barcelona she struggled, as all of our players struggled.
Yeah.
But yesterday she was very solid and fantastic header again. So yeah.
And 2 goals already. I mean, she doesn't often score more than 1 in a season, so to get 2 already is pretty impressive, and 2 good headers as well, actually. But no, I mean, I've been really, really impressed with how she's almost like the leader in the team, almost in defence, isn't she now? And she's just been brilliant. Last night I thought she was probably our best player. I know other players further up the pitch would probably have maybe caught more people's eye, but I thought she was brilliant last night. Thought she defended brilliantly. She brought the ball out of defence really well, and in the end, of course, got the goal as well. I mean, what have you been making of her, Matt? Do you think that she's had a great season, hasn't she? Let's be fair, she's been brilliant.
Yeah, I just feel sorry for her face after Katie McCabe smashed that corner in. Honestly, when someone smashes a ball against you, it does hurt. And I think the way she sort of waddled towards the just behind the goal, just to set, almost just took a minute before she sort of realised what had happened. She's a great player. She's always been a great player. She's learned from some of the best players in England as well as the Arsenal squad itself. She's had great role models throughout it all. She's basically taken up the captaincy of England from Steph Horton at the moment, only because she's injured. But she's added more to her game in that way. She's not just a player that's willing to hit the ball from the back of centre defence all the way to the midfield. She's willing to, and it doesn't help. It doesn't help to have a defender always go full in, Tony Adams style, should I say?
She is actually. She's becoming, isn't she, the woman's version of Tony Adams in many ways. You know, she's popping up with vital goals and she's holding the defence together as well. And you know, she's a lot better with the ball than people maybe have often gave her credit for as well. I mean, I think she's been brilliant. I mean, Imperative Views says there, geez, the power on that corner from Kate nearly took Leah's head off. It certainly did. It was certainly a well corner, wasn't it? But all she really had to do was get her head on it, and it was going to go in, wasn't it? Because the power on the ball kind of took it in. And Imperative Views again says there, Leah, Manu, Kim, and Katie were the standout yesterday. Yeah, I mean, Manu actually is another one. She's been playing really well, actually. Another good performance from her last night, following on from Barcelona game as well. And Nigel says there, if Tony Adams is Mr. Arsenal, then Leah Williamson is Miss Arsenal. Yeah, that's a fair point, actually. You get the impression she won't play for another club. Yeah, exactly, you do. And I think that's a good comparison in that sense, actually, because, yeah, she's Arsenal through and through, isn't she? Came through the academy. Her family are big Arsenal fans. And, yeah, and I mean, what a season she's having. I mean, Emma, you must be impressed with how Leah's been playing this season.
Yeah, she just seems to get better and better with age. I mean, from when they saw her from scoring that famous goal against Chelsea all those years ago, when she dinked over the keeper, she knew she was going to be special. And I think even whoever plays alongside her, whether it be Lotta or Jen, they always just feel comfortable. They always get that sense of security that she's going to always perform to a consistently high level. And it just seems to feed around the teammates. Even her England teammates have said to her, she adds that extra. I can't remember exactly what they said now, but she's tailor-made for that role as captain that Serena Weigmann's given her. So I mean, she just continues to get better and better with age. Whether it be putting a tackle in or scoring goals, she contributes everything. And so I mean, it's just great to watch that one of our own and somebody out of the academy of no doubt who many more could come to in the future could follow her example.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, Matt mentioned about role models that Leah's had to maybe look up to, but she's becoming a role model of her own, isn't she? In this Arsenal team as well, and for women's football in general, you know, which is great. And it's funny, isn't it? You know, she's captain of England, and she's only really third choice captain of Arsenal when she's behind, obviously, Kim and Jordan as well. So it just shows the leaders that we've got in at Arsenal at the moment, which is a positive as well.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I just really wanted to highlight her because I just think she's been brilliant. And I thought last night she was just outstanding. I was so pleased when she got that goal because it really capped another fantastic performance from her as well. Imperative Views there said, what did you guys make of Tobin's performance yesterday? It might be hard, but what's the best front three in your opinion? It is actually, it's difficult, isn't it? I mean, I thought Tobin did okay last night. She got a goal. She had one or two good moments. Maybe didn't shoot enough, as I mentioned before. She had a couple of opportunities. I mean, that's a good question actually there. I mean, first of all, Andreas, what did you make of Tobin's performance last night? And what do you think is our best front three with everybody fit?
It's very, very difficult to say. I don't think that we have the best front three. You can't say that Tobin or Beth are better or like Keats or Caitlin. Don't forget Caitlin Ford. She had a fantastic season last year, and now she's only coming from the bench. But you could bring them in the starting lineup. But one thing I would mention or just discuss, I read today that Tobin Heath said I can honestly say I've never played with a better player than Kim Little.
Yeah, I saw that.
Did you read this? I think
Yeah.
this says a lot when a player from the United States who won everything, and she played with the best players of the world. She comes to England, plays a few weeks with Kim Little, and says, "Oh, that's outstanding what Kim does." And Kim is always underrated. I think she's sometimes under the radar of people who say, "Oh, the best players." No, Kim is so important for our match, and I was really happy to read this. And I think Kim, she's very silent, and she will read this, and I think she will be happy, but it won't change anything for her.
I mean, I agree. I think maybe Kim's underrated simply because we all just expect her to be as good as she is every game. We take it for granted almost, maybe, don't we? So you don't really notice how good she is because it's just, oh, well, that's just Kim. That's what she is. That's just what she does every single week. And maybe if her performance levels drop, we'd maybe notice her more because she wasn't at the same level, but she never does. She's just always brilliant. And yeah, I mean, that was high praise from someone like Tobin Heath, isn't it, to say she's the best player she's ever played with. I mean, wow, when you think of some of the players that Tobin Heath played with over the years. So yeah, I mean that was lovely comments to hear. And yeah, I mean I do think maybe Kim Little does go under the radar a little bit because she does her job and she does it really well every single game, just consistently week in, week out, doesn't she? I mean, it doesn't really answer our question about the best front three, though, does it? I mean, but I agree.
He was commenting that. He was commenting that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it, to pick a best front three? I mean, just because we've got so many choices, and who is better than someone else? They're all good players. We're all great players, and we've got the great choice. I mean, if you had to pick three, though, who would you go with? If you just had to pick three for that front three, everyone's fit. Who would you go with?
You ask me?
Yeah.
I would choose, like yesterday, Tobin, Viv, and Beth.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's you can't really argue with that, can you? I mean, it's what a choice we've got. I mean, what about yourself, Matt? I mean, obviously, what did you make of Tobin last night, and what would be your front three with everybody fit?
I thought she did well. I didn't expect her to get player of the match, but I think the supporters club chose Katie as the player of the match for that. So it was a bit of a weird one, and then there was a bit of odd things here, people bickering about whether or not Tobin and Viv have had an argument and they've fallen out and this, that, and the other. But yeah, she did. She had a good game. Getting that first goal was the important thing for her. If I had to choose a top three, I couldn't really choose. If I'm honest.
Come on, Andreas, pick three. You've got to pick three. Come on. Don't
I think it'd be definitely Viv and Beth, but I'm not sure about that third because, if I'm honest, I didn't really see Tobin as that sort of winger / striker. I only saw it as an actual striker, so I'll probably go with I would probably go with sorry, not Kim. Actually, yeah, I'll go with Katie. Katie.
Katie, yeah, I mean Katie on the left, yeah, she can play in that position as well. Yeah, and obviously she's getting goals. Yeah, that was throwing her into the mix as well. Yeah, that's an interesting one. But yeah, she's certainly been playing a lot more there this season, hasn't she? So that's not a bad three. What about yourself, Omar? What did you make of Tobin last night? And who would be your front three that you would go with if you could? Well, obviously they're all fit. Let's assume everyone's fit.
Tobin was good last night. I mean, yeah, she just had to be patient to get her chances. But on the left, where she's so dangerous, you could see what she was, how tricky and so tough she is to deal with. But yeah, I mean, if I had to pick a front three, yeah, Viv and Beth for me are almost undroppable. But it's so tough with the likes of Keats and Caitlin Ford. But I probably would and Manor as well. Let's not forget she can play as a forward as well. So yeah, I'd probably just give Tobin the edge. But it's so tough because the competition in those places is just fierce.
Yeah, it is, and especially in those attacking areas. I mean, I think maybe the fact that Nikita Paris has been in and out of the team so far, and she's played well in games. She maybe hasn't had a consistent run in the team because of the fact we are strong. But yeah, I agree. I think Viv and Beth have got to be first choice selections, haven't they? In our strongest team. And yeah, that left hand side. I mean, Katie McCabe's a good shout actually, because she's great there as well, her goals as well. But I think at the moment I'm kind of liking what I'm seeing from Tobin Heath. You know, the quality that she's provided, a lot of assists that she's put in from that position, and maybe at the moment she maybe would just about sneak in there, because of course Katie can play left back anyway, and she's great there as well. So you know, we're not leaving her out of the team because she deserves to be in the team. So, but that would maybe be I may be tempted to go with that. I say the three from last night. So we've had a few more comments coming in actually. Imperative Views actually just picked up the point that Andreas has made there. Tobin had high praise for Kim, said she's the greatest player that she's ever played with, which we've said. And talking about Kim Little as well, the Imperative View says there, a last-ditch tackle was exquisite. It was actually, wasn't it?
Yes.
You ran 50, 60 yards in the last minute of a game that you're 4-0 up into to make that tackle. Absolutely fantastic work, Craig. And that just kind of, again, you kind of take that for granted. Oh, well, it's just Kim. That's just what she does, you know. But that was fantastic. Nigel, there going back to we talked about Leah Williamson before. He says, is Wooben Moy her best partner in defence? I mean, obviously, Jem Beat is good as well, isn't it? That's an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, Wooben Moy is great as well, isn't she? Well, I thought she had a shaky start last night. Some of her passing was a bit loose, but she grew into the game as well. I mean, who would you say, Andreas, who would you like to see next to Williamson? Would it be Wooben Moy or maybe Jem Beattie?
They have both their qualities. Lotta had some problems in the first 20 or 30 minutes, but she's very solid, and she plays the long balls like Leah does, and that's a quality Jen doesn't have. Jen is she's calm and when it comes to standard or corners, then I have a better feeling with Jen, but Lotta is younger, and for the future, it should be our defense, Leah and Lotta. And don't forget, she's also coming from the academy. She's a tuner for all her life, and she once said she was a fan, and now she's a player, and it couldn't be better than an Arsenal fan playing for Arsenal. So,
no, exactly. That's very true. Imperative says Lot is great, and she tends to have lapses of concentration, as she did last night, which we saw. In my opinion, Leah and Jen would be the best partnership, possibly. I mean, what do you think about that, Matt? Who would you like to see as the partnership there at the back? Because both partnerships are working quite well at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, it's really weird. When we were at the Villa game, it was Lotta and Jen at the back, which was a bit of a surprise when Leah was on the bench.
Yeah.
But when Leah came on, it was almost like Jen and Leah were telepathic. They could sense each other's or what they wanted to do. Don't forget, we've got Boy who's injured at the moment. Anna Patton as well can play there. So there is options, and it's a good headache for Jonas to have. But if you want someone sensible in there, you want someone quite experienced like Jen. I think Lefsel will get there in time. She's got the call up to England, so perhaps having a few more of the similar defenders like a Millie Bright next to her would give her that confidence to become more familiar with the role a little bit more in time.
Yeah. I mean, she played a couple of games for England. Actually, last time she came on, didn't she, in the games? And I think the more experience that she gets, the better. Yeah, her concentration is still sometimes a bit of an issue. I mean, what do you think, Amo? Who would be Williamson's partner for you, given a choice?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, it's another good headache for the manager to have. But I just think with Jen's experience and the fact that she brings that, I'll probably just give her the edge. Lotta's still got a long way to go. Yeah, she's still only 22, and Pats has still got some way to come, having come through the academy. I mean, they could even, well, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves, but in the future, they could even play together in defence, if they needed to. But I'd still stick with Leah and Jen in the meantime.
Yeah, possibly. We've got Colin there in the chat says Leah and Wooben Moy are the best partnership. Maybe Patton should be playing at right back. Yeah, that's an option. I mean, I think that I think Emirates has been doing okay. Going back to the front three there, Nigel's gone with what we said, Viv, Tobin and Mido. Yeah, I mean, it is difficult, but yeah, I suppose you can't really argue too much with 0-3. We all kind of think that's probably good. We've seen that comment already. Imperative View says Tobin was decent, but she wasn't my player of the match. No, she wasn't my player of the match. I'll say mine was Leah Williamson, but it could have gone to a few of them actually. Yeah, I didn't think she was maybe the player of the match, but anyway, she did play well. You're right. The Imperative Views again says Juve were playing great against Chelsea, but they didn't manage to get over the line. Tax is weighing heavy. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't seem to. He's got a bit of a thing playing against Emma, hasn't he? He never seems to be able to get the better of her these days. So it obviously continued, didn't it? The other night as well. But yeah, I mean, Imperative Views put there.
Well, yes, Vicky,
and Simone will come into the mix as well. Yeah, that's true actually. Obviously, Vicky's just back from injury, and obviously Simone's currently injured, isn't she? So there's other options, great options to have. As we've said about the attacking players, we've also got great options at the back as well, which is going to be important as well. You know, so we are keeping a lot of clean sheets at the minute with the defenders that we've got. Imperative View says, I don't want to sound harsh, but we need an upgrade on Noel Moritz. Possibly. I mean, I think she's had a decent. I know she struggled against Barcelona, but then everybody did, I suppose. But I think she's had a fairly solid season so far. Actually, yes. Is she good enough overall? We'll have to wait and see. But I certainly think she had a decent season. And a pattern, as we've said, can play there. So we've got options there as well. I mean, Wilbur Moy could probably play there as well, actually, couldn't she, as a right back? So we've got options there. But I certainly feel that Noel's been doing okay. I don't think, she's not our greatest player. I don't think anybody could say that, but she's certainly playing well. And at the moment, I think Simone Boy can probably play there as well, actually, as a right back, couldn't she? Perhaps. But yeah, we'll see what happens as the season goes on. But yeah, I mean, it's good that we're talking about different players in different positions, how many options that we've got, rather than thinking, well, who have we got to play there, because we've got no one else. And luckily we're not in that situation, are we? And even in midfield, where we're a bit worried, suddenly that's looking even stronger now, isn't it? With Frida Manham and Leah Walty and Jordan Nobbs back. We've got Iwa Butchie's been playing there a little bit as well, and obviously Kim Little as well. So we've got plenty of options there as well. So it's looking good at the minute, isn't it? I mean, we're very upbeat about everything, and indeed we should be. Now, I believe our next game actually isn't until the Brighton game.
Yes, that's right.
31st against Brighton.
Yeah, it's a long gap, isn't it? I mean, it seems there's an international break, obviously, which leaves 1 week. I mean, why isn't there games the week after? Do we know, Andreas? Do you know why there's no games the week after?
No, I don't know. I was wondering too. But anyway, we had a lot of matches so far, and for some of our players, this time will be necessary now. They will need the rest, and hopefully we can bring all back from the international break without injuries, so that we have this strong bench and can react. So of course we fans we will desperately waiting for the next match, but give them some rest. It's good for us, I think.
Yeah, possibly. I think you're right. I mean, we have played a lot of games. We've got a lot of big games to come as well. So maybe the extra week off might be. I mean, some of them will get 2 weeks off if they're not on international duty. But the ones that are playing international football, at least they will get a week off when they come back. And maybe that's not a bad thing. Do you know what the reason is, Matt? Is it just literally just a little break that they're having, or is there a reason why they're not playing that week? Do you know?
I'm just wondering if it's about the COVID restrictions, because we've got 3 Aussies in the squads. So they're flying over to Australia for their games to meet up. And we've got Mana as well. We've got to keep on forgetting Mana and Manu, who's probably going to be off in Japan. So if you were to think about it, probably that's 3-4 players in the squad that's not playing in Europe. That would then have to travel up there, taking probably about 2 days to get over there and come back, have COVID protocols. They're probably already gone now, and they're probably just going through the airports and having their COVID tests and then going off to the hotel now as we're speaking.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I suppose it's not just us, though, is it? There's no games at all, is there? For that week in the WSL, so it's not just Arsenal that are not playing; it's everybody. So I don't know if there's a particular reason why maybe it's because of that, because players are flying around all over the world. But the last international break, we came back and had a game, didn't we? Straight after, the week after. So
yes, I think we did. Yes.
I don't know really. Do you know why, Amar, why they're not playing? Is there any particular reason that you know of, or is it just literally just they haven't got enough games to fill the hut every week, so they're just having a week off?
It's a good point. I honestly don't know myself. I know they're playing, I think it's Northern Ireland and then Latvia, the Lionesses. I don't really know what else is happening with regards to the other countries that are represented in our squad. But it is a bit of an odd one, because I think maybe I can only think with the season being so long, that's why they needed one big gap now. Whereas if you look at using the Premier League as a comparison, there's like once every month until Christmas, where I think maybe they only want to do in like one big one after the first one, and then not have one until the springtime or something like that. That would be my best guess. Yeah,
maybe it's just a shame, isn't it? Because obviously, as Andrea said, from our point of view as fans, we're doing well. We want to see the next game, don't we? We don't want to wait for 3 weeks.
No, exactly.
We want to see a game now, don't we? We don't want to wait around. But I suppose it'll be worth the wait, because it is a semi-final of the FA Cup, the next game. And let's hope everybody comes back from international duty without injuries.
Absolutely.
And we've got a big squad to pick from for the Brighton game, which is going to be tough. I mean, it's something we'll look at obviously a bit closer to the time. Imperative Views again says, I'm glad that Steph has been getting around games now. Steph Catley, of course, the injuries really troubled her at the start. Yeah, she had obviously a lot of injuries, and it's good to see her playing a bit more regularly. I still think she needs a little bit more games, because I think she's a little bit off the pace slightly compared to some of the others. But again, she's had injuries, so we've got to put that into account as well. And Imperative View says, Jordan won't be called up due to lack of game time, but
right.
Stanway was
Stanway.
Stanway, Stanway. I mean, it's, I don't know. At the end of the day, from our point of view, it's probably good from us, isn't it? Because it means she gets a bit more rest and ready to play in the big games that we've got coming up, as opposed to risking getting injured playing for England. So, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not that. It's disappointing for her, I'm sure, but she'll be back in the England squad, I'm sure, eventually. But it may be better for us that she has a bit of a rest and come back stronger for that big game, obviously against Brighton. I mean, I'm not sure whether or not we probably won't be doing a women's show next week. Obviously, there's no games at all for to look back on. Obviously, the week after will be just before the Brighton game, won't it? The Friday before. Right. So we could maybe do something to look ahead to that game. So that might be a good idea. Maybe have a week off. Of course, anyway, next Friday, the men's team are playing against Aston Villa, aren't they? On next Friday.
I don't understand that.
So it's they just moved the games a bit silly, really. But anyway, so it works out well, because there's no women's game to talk about anyway. Nothing will be going on much because of the international break. Right. So we'll have a week off from it next week, and then we'll be back in 2 weeks' time to look ahead to the Brighton game, which is going to be good. I'm sure it will. Exciting times at the moment, isn't it? Big games every week, it seems, and it's great. It's a great time to be an Arsenal women's fan at the moment, definitely. It's a great show, lads. Hate international break. I think we all hate international break, but anyway, it is what it is. We've got a long time to wait for another game now, haven't we? But anyway, I suppose it'll make the next game even better. Well, I say thanks a lot for you guys. Andreas, thank you very much again. I hope you've enjoyed the show.
Yeah, I did. Thank you for having me. It was a great show for me. Thank you.
No, brilliant. Thanks for your input as well, as always. And Matt as well, a bit of a surprise to see you on. You said you wasn't going to come along.
Yeah, no, that's good to have him back. Good to have him back.
I'm glad you made it. You enjoy it?
Yeah, thank you for having me on. I didn't know whether or not I was going to be all right, because I'm a bit ill at the moment, but I seem fine. So hopefully that means I'm on the mend, fingers crossed. So good news is at least we've got 2 weeks to sort of break from this. Now,
you got 2 weeks.
Thank you for having me on. It's been brilliant again, and it's nice to see you all again.
Yeah, that's great to have you back on. I was so glad you could make it in the end. We'd have missed you without you being on, because you're on every week. We'd have missed you not being here, so it's good that you made it. And Emma, of course, I know we had a few technical issues at the beginning. With the microphone, but we got there in the end. It was good to have you back on again.
It's good to be with the guys. Yeah, I thought I just made one quick point now. Came quick recently. I just will be as quick as I can. In the past, I thought when you look back at going back to the Hoffenheim game, if we get a point in that, I think 10 points normally is enough to get through. We don't look too far ahead, but 10 points might just be enough to make it through.
Yeah, potentially. We'll have to wait and see. But let's hope we can get through however many points it takes. If it's 10, it's 10. If it's 12, it's 12. We just have to try and get as many as we can.
I remember we was in a group with Napoli a few years ago, Dortmund, and Napoli got knocked out. I think 12 points. So you never know.
No, you never know exactly, and it's I would say the way that the group seems to be shaping up now, you would imagine that 10 points could be enough, couldn't it? Because our goal difference, if we can get a few against Koga in the 2 games, it's going to
that's going to be key. Yeah. And
Yeah,
Marlon Good, nobody mentions her as well. She suffered a really bad injury. Who knows if she's going to play again? So we never know what's going to happen to her.
Yeah, no, that's a good point as well. Yeah, she's not got a bad injury at the moment. Yeah, that's worth mentioning as well. Nigel in the chat there says, thanks again for a great show. No, thanks a lot for watching, Nigel. Always a pleasure to have you in the chat again. Imperative Views out. I guess we'll have to see the men take L in a never-ending loop. Yeah,
probably. Don't say that. Don't say that. They're playing well too. They're playing very well as well.
No, they're doing better, aren't they? And let's hope they can. And Imperative Views says, get well soon, Matt. And Nigel as well says, get well soon, Matt. Yeah, he looks like he's fine. He's
not unwell. He's not unwell. He's a grown man.
Yeah, he'll be fine. He'll be fine, I'm sure. So yeah, I mean, I say brilliant. Thanks a lot to you guys for coming on. It's not a show without you guys as well, isn't it? So thank you very much for your input as always, and to you guys in the chat, obviously Nigel, and everybody else as well. Of course, Imperative Views, fantastic comments there. Gave us a little bit extra thing to talk about as well, which was nice. A little bit of a longer show tonight, which is good. But I say it makes up for maybe not being here next week because there's no game. So we made the most of it there while we could. So yeah, brilliant. Thanks all you guys for watching. If you haven't already, please think about subscribing to the channel. We do cover the Arsenal women, obviously, as you can see, and also the men as well. I'll be back on. I'm hoping to get a Crystal Palace fan on to preview the Arsenal Crystal Palace game, probably on Sunday. And then I will be doing a watch along on Monday night of that game as well. And of course, next Friday at this time, we'll be doing a watch along of the Aston Villa game, which has been moved to the Friday night. So we've got 2 midweek games next week and 2 consecutive weekends without any games at all, which is a bit annoying. But anyway, we'll cope, I suppose. Maybe we can do something else on a weekend, perhaps instead. Andy's in the chat there. Thanks. Have a good weekend. You have a good weekend yourself, mate. Hopefully see you Monday for the Crystal Palace game. And the preview says he saw Marlon sprint. Oh, that's good. Hopefully she might be on her way to being fit then. He said it was in a story that she posted a few weeks ago. Oh, brilliant. Okay, well, that's good news, isn't it? Hopefully she can be back playing very soon, although she's going to struggle to get in the team at the minute, I suppose. How we're going. But anyway, that's a good problem to have, isn't it? So, but yeah. So thanks to Andreas, as always, and Matt and Amar, of course. Brilliant from you guys again. And say thanks to everyone for watching. Thanks for your support. Remember to subscribe. Give it a like as well before you leave if you haven't done so already. And I'll see you over the weekend for a Crystal Palace preview, the watch along on Monday, and a couple of weeks off from the women, unfortunately. But we will be back very soon with a lot more great stuff from the Arsenal women. There's a few more victories on the way as well, I'm sure. So thanks to you guys, and we'll see you all very soon. Come on, you Gunners. Come on.
Yes.
Have a good weekend, guys. Speak to you soon.
Yeah, speak to you soon.